Hi, I'm so glad you decided to do our Advent craft this week. So, we're going to learn a little bit about the history of the Christmas tree. We're going to read this book, The Family Christmas Tree Book, and then you're going to get to make a really cool, different kind of family Christmas tree. Are you ready to get started? Let's check out the book.
The Family Christmas Tree Book by Tommy DePaula. Hey, Mom and Dad, how did Christmas trees get started? Yeah, who invented the first one? Well, no one's exactly sure who invented the first one, but decorated trees and branches at Christmas time have been around for a long, long time. In the Middle Ages, December 24th was called Adam and Eve's Day. On that day, a play was put on in front of the churches. Evergreen branches with apples on them were part of that play. They represented the tree of paradise. I guess people like the bright green branches because when the medieval plays were no longer performed, people brought evergreens and even small fir trees into their homes. So here they are at the Christmas tree farm, and they're talking about the history of Christmas trees. And it started out way back long ago out in front of churches on a day called Adam and Eve's Day, which is a story we've heard from the Bible, right? And they called him the tree of paradise. Especially in Germany, they not only put apples on the tree, but also paper roses and flat wafers. The apples represented Adam and Eve, the roses, the Virgin Mary, and the wafers, the Christ child. These trees were called Christbaum. Dad and I just read that in Germany they had other Christmas things too. One was called a pyramid. It was made out of wood and was decorated with branches and candles. The other was called a lightstock, and it was a flat triangle-shaped rack just for candles. This one was the pyramid, and this one was the lightstock. Right, lots of German people had either a pyramid or a lightstock, and a Christbaum standing side by side in the same room. Finally, the candles were moved from the pyramid to the tree. Of course, the old-time trees were small and were put on tables. It wasn't until the Christmas tree came to America that it reached from the floor to the ceiling. When did Christmas come to America? Well, the first trees known about were decorated in 1747 by a group of people from Germany called Moravians. They lived in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. So that's Bethlehem in the United States, in the state of Pennsylvania, not Bethlehem, where Jesus was born. Although, where do you think they got the name from? Little by little, as more German people moved to America, there were more Christmas trees. Other people borrowed the custom, and by the 1800s, many magazines had articles about them. Famous people had Christmas trees too. In England, Queen Victoria's German husband, Prince Albert, helped to make them popular. He gave decorated trees to schools and army barracks. And at the palace, there was a separate tree for each of the young princesses, and princesses. President Teddy Roosevelt decided not to have a Christmas tree one year because he was worried that too many trees were being cut down. His son Archie was so disappointed that he decorated his own tree and he hid it in the closet. Look at that. Oh my goodness, what a silly story. Of course, Christmas trees aren't cut down from forests anymore. They're grown on farms, like the one we went to as a special crop. By the 1930s, Christmas trees became really popular, and now everywhere you look at Christmas time, you'll see Christmas trees. Look, Grandma, how beautiful! I have the Christmas stand all ready. This is what they're going to put the tree in, right? Let's see. You know, when I was little, we didn't have a Christmas tree stand. Even though they were being made, they were very expensive. So this is Grandma talking way back long ago again. So my father used to nail wood to the bottom of the tree. Once we used all my mother's flat irons to hold up the tree, but the trees always got very dry. So one Christmas we filled a wash tub with coal, put the tree in the middle of it, and added water. I remember we had to pile bricks on top of the coal so the tree wouldn't fall over. My mother's rich Aunt Clara had a Christmas tree stand that was a music box. As the music played, the tree went around and around. Well, that sounds fancy, doesn't it? Okay, let's test the lights. Did you kids know that the first lights on Christmas trees were real candles? There's a nice legend that a man named Martin Luther was out walking one Christmas Eve and he saw a fir tree on a hill. It was surrounded by stars. It looked so beautiful that he decided to surprise his family with a special Christmas tree. So he put candles on the branches and lit them. The tree looked as though it was filled with stars. Have you heard that man's name, Martin Luther, before? I was having a connection because I was thinking about how when we go to church on Reformation Sunday, and often we hear in the church service about Martin Luther and how he helped kind of change and move our Lutheranism along with his writings and his thesis and things like that, right? Look at how the legend goes. So a legend is a story that some people believe to be true and some people aren't so sure about it, right? It might have been a story that was told over and over, but the story went that Martin Luther saw a tree outside with stars around it and he wanted to take that home, and so he went home and he put candles on his Christmas tree. An interesting story. Grandma, did you ever have a tree with real candles on it? Yes, indeed. Real candles were so pretty, but they could only be lit for a short time because they were also very dangerous. The first electric lights were used in 1882. They were on a tree at the home of Edward Johnson. He was a friend of Thomas Edison, the man who invented the light bulb. In 1895, Grover Cleveland was the first president to use electric lights on the tree in the White House. Each bulb had to be wired separately onto the tree. Strings of lights weren't invented until 1907. So this would be a string of lights. Now there are all kinds of Christmas tree lights. Little ones that glitter like stars, lights that blink on and off, lights that bubble, and even lights that look just like candles. How come you put the lights on first, Dad? Because it's easier to move them around before the ornaments get on. And here are all our ornaments. Mom, our teacher told us that once people had to make all their own ornaments. They wrapped nuts in pretty paper, used ribbons, cookies, and all kinds of stuff. We make some of our own ornaments. Yes, and we even have some old ornaments that belong to your great-grandparents. There are tin ones, cotton ones, wax ones, spun glass, and paper ones. And these beautiful glass ones. Did any of you know that almost all glass ornaments used to come from one village in Germany called Lascha? They were all made by hand. American businessmen, including Mr. Woolworth, began importing them, and by 1930, 95% of all glass ornaments hanging on American Christmas trees came from this village. It wasn't until 1939 that glass ornaments were made in America. Could somebody hand me the star? Why do we put a star on top of the tree, Grandma? Our family uses the star to remind us of the Star of Bethlehem. There are so many different ways to decorate a Christmas tree. The main thing is that every family's Christmas tree is very special to that family. Ready? What do you think they're going to do? She's got a light switch. Ta-da! And there's their family Christmas tree. Thanks so much for learning more about the family Christmas tree with me. What I'd love to do now is for us to make our own special, kind of different Christmas tree. Let's check it out together. If you picked up a kit from church for our craft this week, you'll find these items inside the bag. If you weren't able to pick up one from church, don't worry. Maybe you can look around and maybe you have something at your house or home that you can use instead of, or something like my items I have here. Now, there's one thing you'll also want or need that's not in the bag, and that's one of these, a pencil. I like to use a pencil for the project that's not sharpened, but you can use one that is sharpened as long as it's got kind of a good eraser on the back end of it. Don't worry though, you're not going to use it for erasing. So what you're going to do is you're going to create a pretty unique kind of Christmas tree. We're going to use something that comes from pine trees, which are what we often use as Christmas trees, called a pine cone. And you're going to take this pine cone, and if you'll notice, it's kind of the shape of a tree, right? So we're going to take this pine cone and we're going to turn it into a Christmas tree. But it's going to be a little different because it's not going to be green. We're going to keep the natural look of the pine cone, which is brown, but we're going to add the lights to it. And what we're going to add for lights are these colored pieces of paper. If you notice, they're really thin, right? They're pieces of tissue paper. You're going to add those to the pine cone for lights, and I'll show you how we're going to do that. So you're going to take that pencil that I mentioned with that eraser on the back end of it, and you're going to pick a piece of your tissue paper. You're going to pick it up and you're going to kind of fold it over your pencil. And then you're going to take your glue and you're going to put a drop of glue on the tip of the piece of tissue paper. And then you're going to take that and you're going to put it on one of the branches of your tree. And you're going to hold it there. And I'd like to say hold it there and count to 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And then pull your pencil off and you'll have one of the lights on your tree. Then you're going to grab another piece of tissue paper. However you want to do your lights is up to you. I'm going to choose a variety of colors, but maybe you want a Christmas tree that has all 1 or 2 colors on it. You're going to dip your glue on it again. Just need a drop. Find a new spot on your tree. Hold it in there and do your counting again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Now, once you have your tree all decorated with its lights on it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Then don't forget what we learned about how often families put a star on top of their tree or an angel, right? And the family in our book puts a star on for the Star of Bethlehem. We put an angel on top of our family Christmas tree to remind us of the angels that sang when Jesus was born and spread the good news, right? But I'm going to go ahead and put a star on this family Christmas tree that I'm making because I like that idea of the Star of Bethlehem being at the top. And so I'm going to take and I'm going to use one of my yellows and I'm going to put it on here and I'm going to hold it again. I won't need to quite hold it as long this time because it's kind of on the top of my tree, so it's not going to tip over as much. And then I'm going to take another one and I'm going to add another spot of glue. And I'm going to put it on this side of the top of my pine cone. I'm gonna hold it maybe for about 10 seconds instead of 20. And then I'm gonna do one more on the other side. Put my Gotta glue on. And then I'm gonna stick it in there. And now I have on the top of my tree my Star of Bethlehem. So now I have this Christmas tree. I'm going to let it dry, and then I could put a string on it and make it an ornament, or I could use it to sit somewhere, or maybe I want to give it to somebody else and spread the joy and share some traditions and history of the Christmas tree. Or if I have even extra supplies, I could find another pine cone or find another type of tree shape and make another family Christmas tree. I hope you have a great time spreading the joy of Christmas through a Christmas tree.